This film showcases the views and experiences of young disabled apprentices. Becoming an apprentice is a really great way to get into the world of work. It's so important that disabled people have routes into work, and being an apprentice is definitely one of them. The film will share the views and experiences of young disabled people and their thoughts on what makes a really good apprenticeship.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly.
My name is Harry.
My name's Scott.
Hi, my name's Luke Naden.
Hi, I'm Ellie. So if a young person hasn't considered apprenticeship, I would definitely do a bit of research into one. For me, it was the best way that I could take a hold of the career path I wanted to be on.
Apprenticeships offer you an opportunity to have experience, but along with having experience, also getting that qualification that is also decided by other companies. If it doesn't work out in the future for a certain company that you're doing an apprenticeship in, you will have experience and a qualification to go off to get another job.
I've been with the NHS for a little over a year now, and I applied for it via the job site Indeed, and my apprenticeship actually was spoke about during my recruitment process. The successful candidate would be required to step on to the apprenticeship that was related to my job role. Although in previous roles I'd come from a learning and development background, I hadn't actually done a qualification directly relating to learning and development. So it was a really good opportunity for me not to only start a new role, but to have a qualification that really supported the role here.
I was very keen to move to an apprenticeship because people were speaking highly about them, and I just thought, what better way to start a proper job than being trained, or if it's my first proper job, really.
I went through my training provider when I did interviews as my recruitment. They had my information from school, which I did disclose to them at the meeting to state that I had a disability, because I personally think that the more upfront and honest you are, the better they can support you, whether that's through the apprenticeship or through the recruitment process. I do understand why apprentices and young people don't, and that's purely up to them. But for me, honesty is the best policy.
I have a speech impediment. It's also known as a stutter or a stammer, and I've had that since I could speak. My stutter still arises in certain situations. For me, I've always took the stance when I go for an interview of sharing that I have a stutter before the interview starts. It allows me to take ownership, to be in control of my disability. That's not for everyone. Not everyone has to share it at interview, but I feel it sets me off on the right path.
Having a conversation earlier on about whatever disability you've got, I feel is beneficial. That helps the employer and it helps your apprenticeship provider to meet the needs of someone with a disability. Yeah, I would recommend that people do share that information with the employer. I think with me, with my disability, it was quite obvious that I had a disability, and I've always not been that bothered about declaring so, really.
I made people aware in my CV that I had my cerebral palsy. So I think it's really important that you have that conversation with the employer and with yourself about your disability, whether it be visible or not visible, because then the employer can help you moving forward.
I believe it is incredibly important for an employer to understand that you're doing an apprenticeship and to give you support in doing so, where you can go and ask questions that you don't quite understand, and they're there to help you.
Because my disability is a light sensitivity, they did make reasonable adjustments in terms of my IT equipment. So I had a dimmable computer that I could change the brightness depending on my eyes. I had obviously the option to wear my green overlays, which do cancel out particular lights, especially artificial ones that can be quite irritable on the eyes over a period of time. In terms of my workload, if I'm sat in front of a computer for 8 hours, that could make my eyes really bad and could make me get a migraine, which obviously could prolong sick at work. So they decided to give me alternate tasks. I would do an IT part of my work, and then I would move on to something that wasn't in front of a computer, just to give me those little breaks. In terms of extra time, it wasn't exactly that I would get like I would in my exams, but obviously if I thought that my workload was getting very heavy and that I couldn't cope with it in the time periods, the time management that I needed, I could let my manager know, and there would be extensions, there would be slight adjustments.
My second apprenticeship worked out because there was more patient with me, and the hours and training conditions were much better.
It all depends on the person. Every single support has to be person-centred.
So the reasonable adjustment that I required at Frimley Health was being given additional time to feel comfortable in my environment in order to be able to deliver training to new employees and to existing employees. In terms of reasonable adjustments that I was given from my training provider for my apprenticeship was I'm about to enter Gateway on my learning and development practitioner apprenticeship, and that's going to require me to be recorded of up to 2 hours delivering training. And I've spoken to my trainer, and she has offered, if I feel comfortable either having that recorded separately or having assessors actually there and watching me. So I've been given the option. I've still not decided yet, but it's been nice that I've been given the option as a reasonable adjustment in order to make me feel a bit more comfortable with my speech impediment.
Whilst I was going through the recruitment process, I didn't know what access to work was, and I didn't fully understand what it could give me. Access to work offered me a desk that is flexible, so it's automatic for me. They offered me the right software solutions to help me become independent. I can employ somebody to help me get to work, both drive me to work and help me in a work-based environment. It has made me more proficient at my job.
My first apprenticeship didn't work out because of the long hours and the physical and mental strain it was having on myself. The company I was with at the time didn't make any reasonable adjustments.
My initial apprenticeship was only part-time hours, and that was a great stepping stone for me to learn. But now I'm going to move on to a full-time apprenticeship.
A part-time apprenticeship was a lot more suitable to my needs. I felt better, I wasn't as, overtired or stressed anymore. I was always quite fresh headed into work and into day release day to do my MVQ side every week. So it was good. I did feel better this time.
My top tip would always be to work backwards. What's the worst that can happen when you go and do anything that you're fearful of? I think that's really helped me when I've sort of jumped in, sort of feet first, and not really knowing what the outcome's going to be. And 9 times out of 10, actually the worst is nowhere near how worse you're thinking it's going to be. I think that enthusiasm is so important to starting a new challenge, or sort of taking on a new activity or apprenticeship or role. And I think that positivity will really carry you through some of those tougher times.
My advice is to be confident, but to do your homework on the types of support that is out there for you.
When going for an apprenticeship, one of the most important things is to remember to put your heart and soul into it and do something you believe that you will be good at or you will enjoy. If it doesn't work out, don't be afraid to leave that apprenticeship, because then you could always do something else.
If a young person does take up an apprenticeship and they're in a couple of months in and they're like, oh my God, I hate it, there are so many other opportunities and different apprenticeship levels they can go. I know there are lots of new ones being developed, which is fantastic. Ones like teaching apprenticeships that they wouldn't need to spend a 4-year course at uni for, and lots more in the NHS, which is fantastic. with obviously without the debt.
I have the same right to apply for that role as anyone else, and I know I'm capable of being successful in that role.